This publication outlines the difficulties connected with the closure of the Bierton Baptist Chapel, where the trust deed and title to the chapel was not registered with HM Land Registry. The Bierton Chapel belonged to the church called the Society of Strict and Particular Baptist, which was formed in 1831, and its entitlement to membership and rules are recorded in the title deed and indenture of the same date. David Clark was received as a member of the church in 1976. Mr. Clark was appointed the secretary to deal with all the various matters of the church. The church became a gospel standard listed course on the 16th of January 1981 and adopted their rules of conduct. Mr. Clark was called by the Lord and sent by the church to preach the gospel in 1982 and preached in many gospel standard churches until 1984. Mr. Clark seceded from the church in 1984 over matters of conscience, as the church had turned aside from teaching particular redemption. The Bierton Church Articles of Religion state, number 5, that the eternal redemption which Christ hath obtained by the shedding of his blood is special and peculiar, that it only and intentionally was designed for the elect of God, who can only share its spiritual blessings, and held to unscriptural views relating to the law of Moses. Mr. Clark remained an honourable member of the church, as his membership was never terminated by the church, as they wanted him to return. This was in accordance with their strict rules relating to church membership. And in connection with church membership, Article 16 states, the severance of any member from its church may only be effected by the church itself, acting under its duly appointed officers, that's the pastor or deacons, at a properly convened church meeting. This never took place, as the church wanted us to return. We were not under church discipline. It was the church that was wrong. It was my contention with the church that they had lapsed into serious error in allowing general redemption to be taught by Mr. King, who was a trustee. The church had turned aside from their articles of religion. The trustees were now responsible to ensure the church continued according to the terms of our articles of religion. The church failed to do this, so I withdrew as a matter of principle. We were not wrong, but honourable members carefully contending and defending the truth of particular redemption. If a wife finds her husband in a relationship with another woman and she leaves the matrimonial home, she is still married until a divorce takes place. And so, with me and the church had turned aside from the gospel truth, like an adulterer, and I withdrew from fellowship. I have no record that the church ever put the matter right, and my membership was never terminated by the church. Mr. Clark took up his call to preach and went on a mission work to the Philippines in 2001, teaching the gospel to many prison inmates in New Bilbid Prison and Muntinlupa City, and appointed William Ola Pollock as the sent minister to preach the gospel to Baguio City in the Philippines in 2002. David Clark did this work in his capacity as a sent minister of the Bierton Strict and Particular Baptist Church in 1982. In the 20 years since, William Pollock has established 10 affiliated Christ-centered churches and a theological institute and 3 jail ministries throughout the Philippines, whose articles of religion are those of the Bierton Church and are monergistic. On Mr. Clark's return to the UK in 2003, the Association of Grace Baptist Churches refused him permission to use the chapel and refused to return the trust deed of the Bierton Chapel to him. They denied that he was a member of the church. This was in spite of the Bierton Church overseer suggesting David returns to open the Bierton Chapel. The association also denied that the Bierton Church was a gospel standard cause until proved otherwise. This association had not been elected by the church as trustees, which the trust deed specifies must take place, and so had no lawful right to register the title deed in their name or sell the chapel. This book tells the story and is submitted to the association with a view to put matters right and return the monies realised from the sale of the Bierton Chapel in 2006 in order for Mr Clark to continue the function of Bierton Strict and Particular Baptists. The association also denied that the Bierton Church was a gospel standard cause until proved otherwise. This association had not been elected by the church as trustees, which the trustees specifies must take place, and so had no lawful right to register the title deed in their name or sell the chapel. The Bierton Trust Deed states that the church alone must elect its trustees, and so the document entitled Memorandum of Choice for Trustees submitted to the Land Registry on the 5th of February 2003 must be invalid, as neither David Clark or Irene Mary Clark, both church members, were not consulted to elect new trustees. This publication is produced to inform all parties of the intention of David Clark to approach the Association of Grace Baptist Churches to put the matter right and recover the money due to the sale of the chapel in 2006, so he can continue his work as a sent minister of the Bierton Strict and Particular Baptist Church, and to assist those Christian churches directly connected with his ministry.